why your body isn't changing and the crucial step that you're missing. Let's get right into it. I'm going to go over two things here. Number one, the stagnation trap. Why working hard just isn't enough. Let me actually minimize these really quick so you guys don't get all super distracted. I know how much brain rot you guys consume. You guys probably all have TikTok brain and can't focus for more than 5 seconds. So let me try to keep this video short. The problem is that many people use random workouts with no real plan. They do the same weights and reps for too long. They think sweating a lot means they're making progress, aka the stagnation trap. By working hard just isn't enough. Let me actually go through the explanation real quick. This means just going through the motions in the gym. It's not writing down your lift. It's not making your muscles work harder than they're used to. So for a while, this is what I did personally myself too. I used to just do random workouts with no real plan. Like I would go to the gym. I would just go get a pump. I would just go do random exercises until I felt like I had a good enough workout. This typically led to me just picking the same exercises over and over. And then typically I would actually start choosing the same weights over and over too, because they felt good enough, felt like I was doing the right thing. Like I would hop on like the chest press machine and I'd put like 100 pounds on it and I would just do that for 10 reps. And I would do that for freaking weeks at a time and I would never change it up. Even though when I'd hit it, I felt like I was working out, but to be honest, I wasn't really applying any type of progressive overload. So if you're a young, natural, skinny guy trying to build drug-free muscle, this video is definitely for you because there's a good chance you probably do a lot of the same thing. To be honest though, this is not the right way to go about working out, not the right way to go about lifting, training, and exercise if you want to actually build drug-free muscle. So if you're just going through the motions, if you're not tracking your lifts, you're not actually working out and challenging yourself enough in order to build muscle. I've also had clients who have done the same thing. They have came to me and told me that they just go to the gym, they go and get a pump in, they try a couple exercises, they don't really have no plan. They're just kind of walking around, trying different exercises, copying what they see online. No real plan, no real schedule. They work out whatever days they feel like it. And although this is better than you sitting at the gym, like sitting at home on your couch doing nothing, like you're not going to get results this way. There's a way better, more scientific way to do this. And it's to apply methods that actually work, methods that I have learned over 15 years of lifting as a completely drug-free natural, and methods that I now teach clients how to implement as well. That way they can start to build drug-free muscle as young, natural, skinny guys as well. So let's go over into the actual crucial step that is necessary to actually start building muscle if this is something you really want to do. Number two, the crucial step, progressive overload, aka your actual growth engine. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The solution here is that this is the most important rule for building muscle naturally. You must always make your muscles work harder to force them to adapt. You need to make your workouts harder, smarter over time. So in other words, like I said earlier, you can't just go into the gym, do whatever you want, get a pump in. Like that's good for if you want to stay generally healthy, but you're not going to build muscle that way, especially if you're trying to do this drug-free. So let's go over the different ways that you can apply progressive overload now. There's a few different things you can do. These are some of the common ones. In order to do progressive overload, you can either add weight, so you're using small increases often. You can add reps, which is basically you trying to do one more rep in a set than you did last time. You can improve your form, so that would be like lifting heavier with absolutely perfect technique. Or you can increase the sets and frequency, so that's you doing more sets or work out more often when your body has recovered. There's one that I forgot to include here, which is one that a lot of people forget about, and that's to decrease, not increase, but to decrease the time spent between sets, like your rest periods between sets. If you decrease your rest periods, you're also increasing your frequency in a way, so you're also challenging your muscles harder that way. So if you guys don't understand progressive overload yet, let me give you a few examples. That way it's nice, clear, and easy for you to understand. So progressive overload is basically you challenging your muscles harder than you did the last time you worked out. So I'll give you an example that I typically give to all my clients. If you bench press 135 pounds, aka one plate, that's one plate on each side of the bar, and say you bench press 135 pounds for 10 reps on Monday, the following Monday when you're trying to bench press again, I'll give you this example if you're trying to increase the weight. So instead of doing 135 pounds the next week, what you would do instead to make it harder is you would add like maybe one of those small 2.5 plates on each side of the bar, and now you've added 5 pounds. So instead of doing 135 pounds for 10 reps like you did last week, now your goal is to do 140 pounds for 10 reps this week. So you see it's the same amount of reps. All you did between the last 2 sessions was increase the weight. Now, there's going to be times where you feel like you're not strong enough to increase the weight, but maybe you can increase the reps. So let me give you an example of what it would look like to add reps to your set. So I'll give you the same example of bench press. You did 135 pounds last week for 10 reps, aka you did 1 plate for 10 reps, but maybe you feel like you can't add any weight. So the following week, it's now next week. Instead of trying to do 10 reps for 1 plate, let's try to do the same 1 plate, but try to do it for 11 reps. So now you're adding reps instead of adding weight. That's another example of progressive overload. Now, something else you could do is improve your form. Basically, the more perfect your technique is, the better you are training your muscle. So I tell all my clients, to the best of their ability, to absolutely perfect your technique as best you can. Otherwise, you are just wasting your exercise, you're wasting your reps, because when you do perfect technique, you're getting more out of the time spent that you're in the gym, because you're properly training the muscle rather than just going in there and throwing the weight around and ego lifting. Like, although you might be able to lift more when you ego lift, you're not properly hitting the muscle the way you want to be in order for it to actually grow. So let me give you the other example here for progressive overload. That is to increase sets or increase frequency. So I'll give you the bench press example. Say you typically bench press 3 sets of 10. That's great. You did 3 sets of 10 last week. This week is a new week. Let's try to do better. Let's try to do 4 sets of 10 rather than 3 sets of 10 like you did last week. That's another way to increase progressive overload. Now, this is a little bit harder because you're not just adding 1 rep or adding a little bit of weight. You're actually adding in 10 extra reps or a whole another set. But it's definitely doable. It's definitely feasible. I do it all the time. I'm sure you guys can do it well. You should give it a shot. What did I forget? There was one more. Oh, yeah, decreasing. So you could also decrease your rest periods between sets in order to increase to apply progressive overload as well too. So I'll give you the example again for bench press. You bench press 3 sets of 10. That's your workout for bench press. But let's say you typically take a 2-minute rest in between each set. Great, whatever. That's good. Do whatever you want. But next week, if you're trying to be better, if you're trying to properly apply progressive overload, instead of taking 2 minutes between each set like you did last week, let's aim to do 1:30 between each set this week. So you see how that's a little bit harder. Rather than giving yourself 2 minutes of break, you give yourself 1.5 minutes. That's the other way you can apply progressive overload. So I think those are the 2 things that I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you guys learned something. However, if you are looking for more information, I'll just say this. If you are a young, natural, skinny guy trying to build drug-free muscle, I offer a complete A to Z program that covers everything you could absolutely ever need in order to actually start building muscle for the first time in your life. Like I said, I've been lifting for 15 years. I've got a decade's worth of research with this. I've taught multiple clients over the years, and I've helped multiple clients get success. If you are trying to achieve the same for yourself, this is definitely something you should check out. I'll put the link in the description below. It's completely free for you to check out and learn more about it. Just go get more information. But like I said, I'll say it one more time. If you are a young, natural, skinny guy trying to build drug-free muscle, at the very least, what you should do is check this out. I'll put the link in the description below. But that's it for today's video. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Peace out. See you on the next one.